It was a balmy Hollywood evening in 1979. Inside the opulent corridors of the Beverly Hills Hotel, one of its fabled soirees was in full swing. Movie idols, sporting titans, industry magnates, everyone who mattered had arrived to observe and be observed. At the epicenter of that gilded ballroom stood Muhammad Ali, newly crowned after capturing his third heavyweight title against Leon Spinks. The spotlight clung to him effortlessly. Yet in a quieter alcove, another exhibition was unfolding. Steven Seagal, at the time a relatively obscure aikido instructor catering to Hollywood's elite, was captivating a semicircle of actors and producers. 27 years old, tall, lean, his movements flowed with surgical precision. He had spent more than a decade in Japan studying under respected aikido masters before returning to America with a formidable reputation. In aikido, he explained to his audience, we don't block, we redirect, we turn force against itself. Even the strongest striker becomes powerless against proper technique. The crowd nodded, impressed, as volunteers were sent gliding across the carpet with surprising ease. That was when Ali approached. From across the room he had been watching, quiet, analytical, a fighter who had encountered every conceivable style, southpaws, orthodox technicians, relentless sluggers. He had studied combat like a scholar studies scripture, and something about the claims unsettled him. "Excuse me," Ali said, his unmistakable voice slicing through the hum. Silence descended. All eyes pivoted toward the two men. Seagal, clad in traditional martial attire, stood level with Ali in height, but the aura differed. Ali carried the relaxed assurance of a man who had conquered arenas. Seagal radiated disciplined intensity. "That's correct," Seagal replied evenly. "Aikido is the art of peace. We neutralize aggression without amplifying it." Ali smiled, that luminous, knowing grin. "Is that so? I've been hitting people professionally for 20 years. Never met anyone who could simply redirect my punches. You think it would work on a real fighter?" The tension thickened. "Would you like to find out?" Seagal gestured toward an open space. A circle formed instantly. No phones in 1979, only anticipation. "To be clear," Seagal added as they stepped forward, "Aikido isn't about harm. I'll demonstrate neutralization." Ali slipped off his jacket. Beneath it, a simple white shirt draped over the physique that had endured wars with Foreman, Frazier, and every formidable heavyweight of his era. "Fair enough," Ali said calmly. "But understand something. I'm not some amateur swinging wild shots. I'm the heavyweight champion of the world. My jab moves faster than most eyes can track." A murmur rippled through the room. Seagal assumed his stance, feet rooted in the Osaka tradition. "Please attack me as you would any opponent." Ali stepped forward, then did something no one expected. He stood upright, hands at his sides, relaxed. "Hold on," he grinned. "I've got a better idea. You hit me first." Confusion erupted. "That's not how Aikido works," Seagal said, perplexed. "You heard me," Ali replied. "Show us how powerful it is. Hit me, as hard as you can." Seagal hesitated. His discipline forbade initiating violence, yet retreating would erode the authority he had just established. "Very well." He shifted, drew back his right hand, and launched a decisive strike toward Ali's face. What followed lasted 3 seconds. As the punch closed in, Ali tilted his head exactly 2 inches to the left. The fist skimmed past harmlessly. In one fluid continuation, Ali lifted his left hand and gently placed his index finger on Seagal's forehead. Not a shove, not a blow, a touch. Seagal, committed to forward momentum, found himself off balance. That minimal pressure redirected his entire body. He stumbled 3 steps before regaining composure and turning to face Ali, who had not moved. 3 seconds of stillness. Ali smiled. In boxing, we call that stick and move. Laughter, nervous, astonished, filled the ballroom. But Seagal did not laugh. "How did you know where my punch was going?" he asked. Ali rested a hand on his shoulder. "Son, I've been reading punches since I was 12. Your Aikido is beautiful, but fighting isn't just technique. It's timing, distance, intention, knowing what a man will do before he knows it himself." Then something unexpected occurred. Seagal bowed deeply. "Would you teach me?" For the next hour, before an enthralled audience, they trained together. Ali demonstrated the subtleties of reading body language, the shoulders, the eyes, the subtle weight shifts that telegraph an attack. "Boxing teaches you to see it before it happens," he explained. In return, Seagal shared Aikido's philosophical core. "The greatest victory," he said, "is the fight that never occurs. True strength is understanding, not overpowering." Ali nodded thoughtfully. "You might be onto something." What no one realized was that a pivotal transformation was underway. Years later, as Seagal ascended into action stardom, he would credit that evening as formative. The effortless neutralization, the gracious instruction, the lesson in presence over provocation. "Ali taught me something 20 years in Japan couldn't," he would say. "The greatest fighters don't need to prove it. Their presence speaks." The story became Hollywood lore, not because of humiliation, because of restraint. Ali had not crushed, he had illuminated.
Sometimes the luck is slow.
That insight did not vanish when the applause faded. It lingered. In the weeks that followed, their unlikely camaraderie continued. They met privately, trained occasionally, exchanged ideas that stretched beyond fists and footwork. What began as a challenge evolved into dialogue. Ali, already sensing the twilight of his competitive years, found unexpected resonance in aikido's internal discipline. The philosophy of harmony, the notion that conflict could be dissolved rather than dominated. For a man who had spent decades dancing on the razor's edge of violence, that perspective carried weight. Seagal, meanwhile, absorbed something far less visible yet infinitely more potent, the art of anticipation. Ali's uncanny ability to decipher intention before execution reshaped how he viewed combat. It was no longer merely about neutralizing force, it was about perceiving it before it manifested. Presence over performance. Awareness over aggression. When Seagal later stepped into Hollywood's spotlight as an action star, fragments of that evening traveled with him. The measured calm, the controlled efficiency, the quiet confidence. He would often reflect on that ballroom lesson, not as a humiliation, but as illumination. Ali showed me, he would tell interviewers, that true mastery isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It simply exists. The legend of those 3 seconds spread quietly at first. Passed from producer to director, from stunt coordinator to actor. It became a kind of whispered parable within industry circles. In a business saturated with bravado, that moment felt different. Real. Several filmmakers who witnessed the exchange began reimagining fight choreography in their projects. Less exaggeration, more authenticity. They had seen how minimal movement could carry maximal impact, the elegance of efficiency, the power of subtlety. But the philosophical reverberation was even deeper. Hollywood thrives on ego, competition, one-upsmanship. Yet that night offered an alternative blueprint. A champion who chose mentorship over mockery. A master who elevated rather than eclipsed. Ali could have dismantled Seagal publicly. The opportunity was there. The audience was primed. Instead, he constructed a teaching moment, one that honored both disciplines. That restraint became the true spectacle. The difference between knowledge and wisdom revealed itself plainly. Seagal possessed refined technique, years of disciplined practice, devastating precision. Ali possessed something rarer, the synthesis of experience, instinct, and psychological acuity. When he invited the strike, it was not recklessness, it was certainty. The certainty that comes from studying human motion for 2 decades, from understanding how shoulders tense, how hips rotate, how breath shifts before impact. The 2-inch head movement was choreography born of repetition. The fingertip redirection was timing distilled to its purest form. Physics met intuition, momentum met mindfulness. Both men walked away altered. Ali gained deeper appreciation for Eastern martial philosophy, the calm center within chaos. Seagal gained clarity about perception, the ability to read the invisible cues preceding action. Their brief friendship endured for months. Conversations ranged from combat theory to human nature itself. Each man, in his own way, integrated fragments of the other's worldview. Ali, transitioning toward elder statesman, leaned increasingly into principles of peace and understanding. Seagal carried forward the lesson that strength need not roar to be recognized. Nearly 50 years later, the story persists. It stands as one of the most intriguing intersections between Western boxing and Eastern martial thought, not because of spectacle, not because of violence, because of contrast. Technique can impress. Mastery transforms. Ali did not injure to prove superiority. He illustrated that the highest form of combat awareness renders force almost irrelevant, that dominance without dignity is hollow, that the greatest fighters do not need destruction to validate their greatness. 3 seconds, 2 inches, 1 finger. A demonstration more eloquent than any knockout. And perhaps that is why the story endures. It reminds us that true confidence is quiet, that wisdom multiplies when shared, that lifting another does not diminish oneself, it amplifies both. The ripple effect extended beyond those walls, through studios, through film sets,
Through the evolving language of on-screen combat, realism gained ground, subtlety found respect, authenticity replaced theatrics. But the deeper lesson transcended cinema. In life, as in combat, understanding eclipses brute force, anticipation outweighs reaction, compassion often triumphs where confrontation fails. Muhammad Ali did not merely step-side a punch that evening, he redirected a narrative. He demonstrated that greatness is not measured solely by conquest, but by conduct. The champion stood unchanged after 3 seconds, yet everyone watching had shifted. And that perhaps was the most decisive victory of all. Let us know in the comment section down below, and don't forget to ring that notification bell for more amazing stories about legendary figures who shaped combat sports and Hollywood.